Welcome to On the Rise. I talk about personal development, small business, and I interview entrepreneurs on the rise. My name is Nelson Stryker, and I am your host. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Real Nelson Stryker. And to my rising tide, welcome back to the show. And as usual, I have a very, very special guest in the building, which is unusual because we go back a very long time, almost 10, 12 years maybe.
Yes.
And she has really come a long way. She's an actress, a singer, and social media influencer. And she goes by the name of Jessenia Gallegos. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And in all these years, look at you, rising too.
Hey, I try, you know.
That's why we're here on the rise.
Yes.
With you.
100%, yes. And I appreciate you. And this is why I created the show, you know, for hustlers and go-getters like us that need the spotlight, right? Mm-hmm. But also need to feel that we're not the only ones at this.
Right. And that our story gets told.
Yes.
You know? Because
100%.
it's so easy to look at somebody and just think, wow, you know, they're lucky.
Yeah, they must have had it easy.
Or wow, you know, like, they just came up out of nowhere.
Yeah, they don't know.
We were talking about this off camera, and it was like everyone always thinks an overnight sensation happens overnight, but look at this. We've known each other for so long, but we kept going.
Yes.
And that's why we're here.
Amen, amen. Amen, amen. So, as you know, we start the show with a quote of the day. And this one is by Robert Kiyosaki, big real estate guy, right? He said, the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I believe everything is mindset. We can sit there and wallow in our own pity and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can put fire under our butts and keep moving forward, because it's only natural when we fall. What's the first thing we do is get up. If that simple reminder can remind us to continue to get up, not just literally, but through it all, it's possible.
100%.
It's possible. It's just a mindset shift. That's it. Instead of why me? What can I learn about this so it don't happen again? That's all it really is. So the mind is a powerful tool that sometimes we often forget. We think we need resources outside of our mind. We think we need funding outside, but it's our mind.
Right.
You know?
Right.
If you're willing to do it, you get through it.
And I liked how you put that, because you asked the question, right? And I feel like that's where a lot of people slip up.
They do.
Right? And they just try to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but they never evaluate. They never ask the questions. They never reflect. Right? So if you don't reflect what's going on, like, how do you know what you're even doing is working?
Right. And we all been employed, right? We've all been employees. And why do they have those meetings, those weekly, monthly meetings, to analyze what your workload and output is like? Because if you don't take a second to reflect on what you're doing that's not working, you're going to continuously do the same thing that's not working.
Right.
And if we want to grow, I think one of the key things is accountability. Maybe I shouldn't be coming in late and trying to catch up. Or maybe I should get some rest. Or maybe I should prepare the night before. Maybe I should, not be in the situation. Whether that's business, whether that's friendship, whether that's romantic. Accountability is a huge thing if we want to end that repetitive cycle.
Major. Wow, look, we just started the show. And we're going deep, right? So let's get right into it, because we just got into the quote of the day, and we're already, like, Jessenia's already dropping bombs here. So for those who don't know about you, Jessenia, who is Jessenia Gallegos?
It's so funny. When I first got started and when you met me, I went with an alias.
Okay.
Part of it was to protect my identity, because I was going to school for my RN, and I was working at the hospital. But it was also because I had a little bit of shame attached to what I was doing. I was, working for some of the biggest magazines in the world that girls aspire to be on, but I was being called to be on it, and I was like a little shy, a little like, I don't know if this is acceptable or cool. I didn't know my greatness, and I shied away from it, right? But then I realized with time, especially after surviving domestic violence, that Jessenia Vice was cool, and she did what she was supposed to, and it served a purpose in my life. But having to lose it all and start back and being able to rebrand myself, I wanted the world to know who I actually was. I wasn't Jessenia Vice on the Tyra Banks show that won the Kim Kardashian lookalike. I wasn't Jessenia Vice, that hot chick that was on the cover of Maxim en Español. I wasn't Jessenia Vice in all the hottest music videos. I'm Jessenia Gallegos too. I am a person that has lots of layers like an onion, and I have a story, and if you're going to like me, it's not just going to be by what you see, it's what you're going to get to know.
Right.
And so Jessenia Gallegos is, the little engine that could. The little engine that believed that she could, that fell many a times, made choices that she just kept making until one day she woke up and said, I got to change and stop this nonsense. And I can't be living in a victim set mentality if I want to achieve what I want to do. And my grand purpose in life is to help people by sharing my story. And creating, and in story form. And yeah, I love what I do. I love who I am, and it's taken me a whole long journey to get here.
I believe you. And I've seen it. I've seen it 100%, and that's why I definitely wanted to have you on this season. And with everything you just shared, I would say the biggest part of that is one word, and it's growth.
Yeah.
Right? Like if we had to sum everything up, like that growth is incredible. And I think it's again, like if people don't reflect and they don't go for that and they don't make growth a part of their lives, how can they get there, right?
Right.
So for some people out there who don't know how to reflect, what made you reflect and realize that, hey, like I can't do this anymore. Like I have to be a different person now. Like I have to grow.
Yes. So I started my journey in growth, I want to say in my early 30s, but it's easy to learn things. It's easy to read a book. It's easy to like go to groups and talk about it. And you get all the information, all the data.
Yeah.
But the hardest part is applying the tools that you gained from all of this. That's why it's easier said than done. There comes a time where you're just fed up with this. It ain't nobody's fault but yours. And when you can swallow that harsh reality and humble yourself down and stop making it about others, that is when you choose a different mindset and growth will come. When I started my journey of healing, I wanted to grow, and I was slowly. But I always had an interjection in what happens when it comes to love or loving or not loving yourself enough. You put others before you. I know as cliche as this sounds, but you hear it every time you board on a plane. Help yourself first before you help your neighbor.
True.
Put that mask on so that you can help that person and maybe other people. Oftentimes we want to take projects because we are the project. And sometimes we don't want to admit that because we think we're great. And you might be a good person, but have you reached your full level of potential? And the answer is no, if you're constantly falling over and over again. So to me, it's like there's going to be a time, I don't know if that's going to happen for the first timers, or it's your 10th time, or your 100th time, but there comes a switch that clicks. And when that switch clicks, it is off to the moon.
I wanted to jump into accountability because everything you were talking about there in that first round, that's the word that just hit me right in the face, right? Because I feel like accountability is almost like a skill.
It is.
Like,
it really
you know what I'm saying? Like you need to learn how to take accountability and not always feel like if, number one, you can't make mistakes and that's just crazy, right? Wild. But at the same time, it's being able to know that your world isn't over if you make a mistake, right? And there's value in mistakes, right? But as kids, what happens to us? Like, we make a mistake, we get scolded.
punishment.
Yes, right. So it's like we are conditioned as kids to be perfect and not make mistakes, right? So when we get older and become adults, it's like, wait a minute, this is backwards, right? So as far as accountability, what would you say to those people out there who just don't know how to do it?
You know, you said something, and it's funny because it's our generation for sure with our parenting style that we were raised on. We were raised to live in fear rather than understand what we're doing. Like, why is it bad to do that? Why is it better to do this? Why is it not so smart to, there was nobody explaining these things, right? This is why having these conversations are important, and it's key for our, development and growth. And why are we talking about this and discovering it now is because we are doing the work. So I think there has to come a point where it's like, I can't have these conversations with my parents because they're in their ways. They were raised exactly the way my grandparents raised their parents and so forth. So, you don't got to get so deep into spirituality if that's not your thing, but how do we break a cycle? It's by making choices. That comes with any addictions, that comes with any negative habits, that comes with vices. You can change your life.
Right.
So to make mistakes, it's okay, because I rather than call them mistakes, I call them room for opportunity to learn, right?
Yeah.
What's the lesson?
Right.
And I used to go about saying, for example, my relationship failed, but it didn't fail. It taught me something. It taught me something about myself, what to do and what not to do, what to work on, and how to develop something. So when you're going through this navigation, I believe it's important to just do the work. You're not, and talk about it with people that are like-minded. If you're the smartest person in the room and people looking at you like, what? Get out of there.
Yep.
You need to start asking questions. You need to start getting information, because there's no way for you to elevate and grow if you're going to be around the same type of mindset of people that keep you at that level where you're not going to change, you're not going to grow. And change can be great. People always think, oh, yo, you're changing.
Why it's a bad thing.
Why ain't you coming out to the clubs and getting wasted with me? You think you're different. What? And it's wild. And I love seeing now how people are like leaning towards sobriety and leaning towards health and wellness. I love how people are growing out of certain things and growing into things. I was having a conversation with a relative before here, and they're looking back at like, damn, I used to party hard and I regret it because now I'm dealing with some issues. And this could all be a reflection upon all that partying hard. But that was reflection on self. It wasn't like blaming it on someone.
Right.
Oh, it's because if I was, no, it was you took those choices. Nobody held a gun to your head. And that, when you can be brave enough to accept the reality of it, I promise you, better things are going to come your way.
That's where the change is.
Right. And accountability. It's like, all right, what am I doing? I am the common denominator in this.
Yes.
So what am I doing? Let's do it differently.
So how about, let's get into your first job. Let's take it back a little bit.
Let's take it back to when I was 16.
What was your first job?
My first job is, and oh my God, they better give me an endorsement or something, because it is well known. America runs on it.
Oh, hey, she gave the slogan.
Pay me. No. My first job was Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay, local, right?
In Newark. And it was one of the first drive-thrus in Newark. And I was so excited and nervous at the same time. My mom fought me. She didn't want me to work, period. She goes, there's no reason for you to work. I was like, but I want to be independent. I want to pay for my own. I want to get things that you might not want to buy me. Like, for example, a beeper, a phone, or this, And thank God for my father. My father, has always pushed to support me. My mother always never understood my ways. Like, you're a little girl, you don't need to be worrying about that. My dad was like, just let her do what she wants to do. It's not, she's talking about, I want to work and learn. Like, this is good. Like, she's gonna learn some key fundamentals of life, responsibilities. Like, I don't want my daughter to only just depend on a man, because God forbid it's a bad man. So I'll never forget my first day. I was so nervous. Growing up, I had Barbies, like what other girl didn't?
Of course.
And I had every Barbie, right? Barbie Mansion, Barbie this, Barbie McDonald's. So the first thing I did was, welcome to McDonald's. How can I take your order? And they were like, wait, I'm at McDonald's? Hold up. I thought I was. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. That was my first person. Wow. And they were like, do you have a tip jar? I was like, no. Now we see tip jars at every place, right? And I was like, no. He's like, no, here. And he gave me a $20. They were like, you're nervous. You did great. Don't worry. That was my first job. And it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot. I continue to be hungry to work. What fulfills me now is work. I love to work. If I don't feel productive, I don't feel good. Yeah. So that was my humble beginnings with employment.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And
hopefully
obviously
we get a check for that one. I'll give you a cut.
Yeah, they got to see that. Okay, 5%. I'll take 5. I'll take 5. Now you mentioned, your parents in this, and this question is really geared towards them, and what role has family played in your journey? Because obviously it sounds like they were very old school, traditional. But throughout this process from back then and even until today, like I know in Ecuador, I saw your parents out there, right? The family, right? What role are they playing in your life today? Because not all families are supportive like
or gets it. Oh yeah, no. So in the beginning, just like my mother wasn't supportive of me working at where we just said earlier, she was not supportive of me straying away from focusing on the medical field. Originally, as I was a little girl, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I was like, I'm going to school to be a nurse. I was like, wait, why did you digress? I'm like, well, wait, you want me to be a mom and a wife too? Like, if I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be in school for a very long time.
Right.
So, you're navigating these waters. It's like, I want to help people and I want to make my family proud. But then you get these weird, like, opportunities that life throws at you, and you're going with the flow, and you're like, whoa, what is happening, right? And but you like it. And I've always had a creative mind. At school I was a shy introvert girl, but at home I was living my best life, singing around, performing in front of my mom, dad, my brothers, dancing, writing, painting. Like, I was so creative. Always creative.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a surprise to my dad. It's like, listen, my daughter's not dumb. Like, and I remember telling my mom, you watch Sábado Gigante? All them women that you watch with Don Francisco, they're in bathing suits. Why is it wrong that I'm getting paid to be on the cover of this? Or
exactly.
Like, this is FHM. This is Maximum. This is like, these are some big names. Like, Mom, I just did the cover of like Eva Longoria, Sofia Vergara, Salma Hayek. We're all on the cover of these. Like, these are women I aspire to be like, I look up to. So my dad was like, she's got a plan. She's got a plan. Our daughter's not dumb.
Right.
And I think that's also a misconception. When people see a pretty girl, they always assume that she was pretty always, or that she's pretty and dumb, but it could be the opposite. I wasn't pretty always, and I'm certainly not dumb.
Right.
My parents immigrated here, leaving everything they knew with no support. And they were able to make something out of nothing. And this country does have opportunities when you go knocking on doors and you go asking questions and you do the work. And they proved that to me and my brothers, and I continue to prove that to be true as well. My parents never imagined their daughter would be doing anything that I'm doing now. The little girl that was going through the bullying and the turmoil and the self-hate didn't imagine to be doing what I'm doing now. So it's just a beautiful reminder for everybody that
the American dream is real.
The American dream is real. This is a land of opportunity, and we can make it great with our own decisions of what we choose to do. And that's just a reminder that I want the world to never forget. So
let's jump into the deep waters here, like for real, because this goes back to kind of what you alluded on, not always being pretty, right? And even getting bullied, coming up, and just talking about your weight loss journey. Can you go into the cause, or what you felt was the cause back then?
Oh, yeah. Oof.
Right. And how that kind of relates to today.
Oof. Okay. So, fear will stem a lot of things, right? Fear can hold you back. Fear can propel you to bad things. And for me, I was 16 being told that if I continued living like this, I was on a dangerous path. I was borderline hypertensive, borderline diabetic. And the weird part is I wasn't eating fast food. My mom did not believe in that. My mom cooked always. But being Latina and from immigrant culture, it was disrespectful not to eat everything.
All the food, yeah.
And my brothers are 11 and 12 years older than me, both athletes, soccer player, boys. The list goes on. Mm-hmm. So she was feeding me the way they were fed, but they were burning that and using that as energy, where I was not allowed to play outside. I grew up in Newark. Shout out to Brick City.
Hey.
I was not allowed to play outside because I understood there were gangs, there was drug dealers, prostitution, all that around me. But I had an oasis and safe haven in the house. Like I said, I leaned towards comic books, film, music, the creative. So, and my academia. So I was just there. So when the doctor told me, I wish I could be, to be honest and transparent, it wasn't like I said, I don't like myself. I ended up not really liking myself because of the bullying I had as kids. But this had me fearful for my life. So my young mind thought, if eating's the problem, why let me just stop eating?
Yeah.
So it led me into anorexia, which then I can go into a whole description, but I make this short. It followed by bulimia, and then it led to extreme dieting, and then finally finding a balance in my later 20s, early 30s. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was wrapping up the whole body competition. I don't know if you remember me, but I used to train. I used to go into the gym 2-3 times, and I was training to compete. But my body couldn't go any further naturally, and they wanted me to take other things. No. I decided no, and I'm glad I did.
Yes.
I'm glad I decided this is where it stops. But what it taught me was I could change my body and mold it to what I want, and food is good for you. Mm-hmm. So it taught me a lot of things, So my journey wasn't like let's be healthy. No, I want to say the journey of health really truly began in my early 30s when more information was coming where I didn't have access to when I was 16 and 17. Right. We didn't have social media. Mm-hmm. Social media could be a real good tool, especially when you are that young and you need a community and you need someone that might understand the struggle. Mm-hmm. So I learned so much. I also wanted to learn more. So I took my ass and got certified as a personal trainer, not to personally train people one-on-one, but to learn information that I also wanted to know for myself and apply. And I will say for the last decade, without training with the coach, without going to the gym 2-3 times a day, 5 times a week, I developed a program that worked for me and I saw work for others. My boyfriends that I was dating at the time, friends I was hanging out with that was working out with me. And once I had this confidence with this license, right. I managed to be able to do something that I feel like can work for others. I created this movement called You Love You. And if you look at this right here,
your necklace charm?
It's my logo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And if you see it, I'm going to upside down it. It's 2 J's.
Okay.
Mirroring themselves, and it forms a heart.
Got it.
So it's you completing you. We sometimes think we need to find someone to complete us. We need to be at 100 so we can attract the 100. And the same applies to how we feel. We all have our highs and our lows, but this whole journey was a journey in itself of discovery and accountability and learning and pushing yourself. Because there are times where I'm getting tired, getting close to 40, but I think back on the little girl that could and did. Yeah. And it was harder when I had all that weight on me.
Yes.
I
believe it.
So I'm like, girl, come on, get up. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do this, yeah.
Yeah, you motivate you. You push you. You love you.
So now this is a very sensitive, and I shouldn't say sensitive. I should say it's delicate.
Okay.
Now, when you said 100, I get that part, right? In the sense of how you should feel about yourself, right? But at the end of the day, did you ever see a meme of a statue? The statue is undone.
Okay.
And there's
the guy chipping at it. Yes,
woman,
yes.
And they're both.
Are you talking about relationship with the 100?
Well, so
are you talking about the Michelle Obama quote about?
No, not that one. But it's like, if you're 100 and you're looking for 100, can you still build? Or if let's say, yes, you could be at 100 and God could have put you through all these things. So you can be 100, but the question is why?
Well, 100 can mean 80 to me. It can mean 20 to you. Someone's 100 could be 120 to someone, or 1,000 to another person.
Yes.
What I mean by 100 is you being happy with self.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Where you're not expecting someone to come into your life and make you feel a certain way. Right.
Yes.
That's what I mean. I mean that you need to work at a level where you are good so you can attract what it is that'll make you great. Yes. I believe that when we're going to talk a little step further outside of self and talk about, let's say, even business relationships or romantic relationships, if you knew, if one person knew it all, there wouldn't be partnerships.
Yes.
You know, if you could be happy all by yourself, we wouldn't have community and society and family.
100%.
So we do need people in our lives to build, whether it's to build an idea, a business, a family, a society, a community. But the thing is, you need to constantly be working at yourself. Right. Like I said, my 100 might be somebody's. God, I can never do that. But that doesn't mean you're not at 100. If you are happy with self and you're completely good with you and you're not expecting anything from someone or looking for something, then that's what I mean by 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So do you believe that somebody has to be at 100, or do you feel like if somebody is at 65 and they validate you, they value you, they bring plenty to the table, right? Do you feel, and let's say again, you know, God put you in a position where you're at 100, but you see somebody could be, you know, that person could be a 65, a 70, and with you, they can become 100.
The problem with
is that something you believe in, or
the problem with me is that I always see everybody's greatness. So where they think that they're at 65, I already see they're 100. You know, okay. So that means I believe in people. Yes. And I do believe in helping those that want to help themselves. Yes. But you can't help people that don't want no helping. Amen. Ego is a killer. Amen. For everything and anything. Yes. Love, business, and in between. I agree. So my whole thing is they could be at 65, but if they're 100% happy at 65 and at the steady space they're going to get to what their 100 is, then I'm totally happy to have them in my life. Yes. Not because I feel like I'm going to get them to 100. It's because they have peace of where they are at this given moment and they're patient with themselves and know that they're going to get at 100. Right. Because to me, they're already at 100. I'm just going to be supportive and loving and caring the whole ride through. Yes. Because here's the thing. There could be someone that's at 65 and completely happy at where they're going in their pace. True. Right? And value you and validate you in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. But there could be somebody at 65 that is not happy and nothing you do will validate the good person you are. True. Whether it's the good business partner, the good girlfriend, the good wife. No. So if they're not happy at their 65 and at the pace that they're getting to get to their 100, it's never, nothing you can do is going to work. You can pour and pour and pour, and this is where people deplete. This is where businesses fail. And this is where relationships end.
100% agreed. Thank you for clearing that up.
100%.
I told because it's a delicate space.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just in relationships and everything that's going on in our environment now, in our culture, in our country. It's just so hard, you know, for a lot of people out there. So as an entertainer, because, you know, that's a lot of energy and a lot of your days make up your life as an entertainer. What do you feel has been your biggest obstacle?
I feel like the biggest obstacle as an entertainer and creative is not being a struggling broke artist. And 2020 was a terrible year for so many people that lost people. The fear that this can all just go away. Right. But it also helped so many people, and it helped a lot of talent realize that you are the face of your brand. You are a brand. You are a business. I'm so blessed that I have never been managed because if I was managed, I probably would have been managed through the whole entire time during the 2020 and not learned that I am a boss. Hey. And I would have thought and continued to work for someone else.
Right.
But 2020 really opened up people's eyes that like, wow, like this is my business. You know, I created my LLC in 2020.
Amen, amen.
You know, I was reading big contracts and using my LLC to get paid.
Beautiful.
And I was learning more, and I was asking questions, and I was diving into things. And I think the biggest struggle for any entertainer or creative is how do I carry a life that's lively? Like my livelihood is on the line here. How do I survive? How do I pay the bills? When you realize the financial literacy of what can be done once you navigate this correctly with anything, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a brand supplement, or whether it's you'll be able to get out of that mentality of I'm working for someone, but rather I'm working for me. And I think every entertainer wakes up at some point.
We're getting ready to wrap up, and we got a couple of things we definitely want to hit. And kind of stay in those deep waters, right? But before we even get there, I want to ask you about this Wolverine costume because that didn't look easy.
No, oh God.
So talk to us a little bit about this costume, and obviously the whole Deadpool Wolverine movie that just dropped. I think they already did like 250 million at the box office. It's been like what, 4 days?
Breaking records.
It's been crazy. So talk a little bit about the project.
So you know what's funny? I think a lot of people don't know a lot about me if they're brand new. They're probably like, who the hell's this girl? I get that a lot.
Yeah.
I've been at this for a long time. But I've been a fan of comic books and of Marvel and of X-Men, okay, since I was a little girl. I told y'all I have older brothers. One of my oldest brother put me on to comic books. I fell in love with that world because it reminded me that even these heroes struggled. Right. So whatever I was going through at that time, whether it was bullying, whether it was self-hate, it helped me get through a lot of dark times at a young age, right? Because it humanized the experience of life and that you're not alone and that we could be our own hero.
Right.
So flashback, Halloween is my favorite holiday, even though I know it's not a holiday, but for me it is. And it was something that I've always done, dressing up. And I remember wanting to continue doing that as an adult, but like there comes a point where you can't. Or that's what society says. But there's a world of cosplay where you can.
There we go.
And it's a community that's creative, and it loves all that it is, comic books, and what it is to be a hero and heroism. And I am a huge fan of not just Deadpool, but Ryan Reynolds as well. His story is so amazing as an actor.
Yeah, he's dope.
And where he is now as a businessman.
Yes.
You know, not a lot of actors can say that they have their own production company.
That's right.
Not a lot can say that they're, funding their own projects. And that's where artistry now is discovering business.
There we go.
And that's important. But to talk about this cosplay, I cosplayed it because I knew that the movie was coming out. I was invited out to attend the world premiere in 2018, and I had also attended the 2024, this year's. And when you look at the video that I shared, right now that video is at like 2.1 million of the 2018 and the current one. And you could see that there's such a massive glow up with this franchise. Yeah. But you also see the glow up in me. Like, this was one of my first red carpets. I'm wearing denim on denim, okay? Like, thinking I look cute. Hey. And now I'm, like, in character.
Right.
This Wolverine was an homage for X-Men, for the story and the complexity of, Wolverine's character. I'm like, you know what? If people actually know the comic book, Wolverine was tiny. He was short. Yeah. So this only makes sense. My boy Cosplay Nay, I got him out of retirement. And I got my boy A. Stevenson to do the video. Cool. Long story short, we did it because we were passionate and love it. And this morning, Marvel acknowledged it. Ooh. Not only by looking at it and liking it, but leaving a comment.
The official page.
The official page, 66 million followers.
Look at that.
And this is to say they've been tagged probably over and over again. But to see this was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I'm like, yes. So, that was all just love and also respect. And it's just a reminder that like you don't know who's watching.
Exactly.
And it's humbling when something as great as that is watching.
100%.
And I would marvel, now that you're watching, can you fit me into like a movie or something? Now that you see that I could pull off a whole body, superhero costume, come on. But it was beautiful, and it's great. So shout out to everybody that was a part of it, and everybody keeps pushing it.
Amazing.
The little girl in me shed a tear this morning, and I was just geeking out. I'm still geeking out about it. I'm still geeking out about it.
Yeah, hopefully something does come out of it, and you never know.
You never know, and if it does, you see it, you heard it here.
Heard it here first. That's actually a goal, right? That's one of your goals, to be in one of the films.
Right, that's one of my goals. I definitely, so I wrapped up a movie. It's called Spoken. I would love to see it on a platform such as, Hulu, Peacock, Netflix. But my goal is to continue to do filmmaking.
Okay.
That this project is my first project where I'm not just only directing, but I'm also producing.
Awesome.
And I was inspired by men such as Ryan Reynolds, who was like, well, we got to do something with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, who produced and filmed and wrote one of his movies, who was
dude,
tired of being typecasted and wanted to be taken seriously, and also wanted to get away from just being a superhero. And then, Vin Diesel and, Sylvester Stallone. These are all men that were tired of knocking on doors and not getting opportunity, that said, you know what, let me shift this mindset and let me open my door. Right. Yeah. And, there should be more women that do this. And I hope to be one of the women that pioneer in this, because it's not often that you see this. And my goal is to really set a tone for creators and filmmakers and storytellers, because I've been doing it in my ways, whether it's through captions, whether it's through small skits, ideas. So yeah, that's one. I finished a book. It would be my first time author. I'm constantly looking at ways to be able to reach people on different sources of consumption.
Right.
Movies, film, TV, a book you can read, or it's electronical, audio, music. Working on my LP, my first Latin LP. I released a Latin song this year. Everybody loved it, and they're like, when you doing the next one? I was like, all right, well, I'll drop 7.
There we go.
So I'm going to do an LP. So I'm constantly moving. Like I mentioned, I realize that I'm not just a creator. I'm an entrepreneur.
100%.
Different revenue streams of income, but different revenues of expression and reach.
That's key.
Yeah.
That's key. Now, with the results of all this that's going on, right? What most people see is the content you're putting out. Everything looks great. You're always smiling, right? Everything's always happy, right?
Not everything, because some of this stuff is deep and complex. So I'm not wearing no makeup.
Right.
I'm talking truth.
But when they see all this stuff, they don't really see the other side.
No, they don't.
Right? Of the popularity and fame. And, obviously when, people see celebrities and they're like, oh, well, yeah, they get all that money. Like, it does, like, it doesn't matter, but we're all human, right? So what do you say to people like that look at celebrities and look at people like you who are out there in films and producing and directing and acting and doing all these great things, but they don't see the other side of that? What do you want to say to them?
So I actually did a dedicated post. It's on my feed right now and I put to the trolls. I don't like that term because it's just so harsh. I would rather word it as to those that are hurting. Hurt people. I think that a lot of the times when people come to my page and vomit in my comment section, it has nothing to do with me, because if you knew me, you'd love me. And because you don't know me, you're speaking to me like that because you are characterizing me under an experience that you dealt with that's not my reality nor ours. Can never judge a book by its cover. These pages they've been through a lot, and it's a reminder that we are all going through it. I have hard days, and I talk about that a lot. I don't just talk about my highs. I talk about my struggle of being bullied as an overweight kid. I talk about my struggle with my own mind and suicidal ideations. I talk about me having almost died by a man that claimed to love me that was abusive. So I talk about this because I want people to realize that whoever's in those shoes that I was in, that you're not alone. and that you could be doing great things that sometimes even I didn't even think I'd be doing this, but I'm doing it. And what I come to believe now more than ever is that what's for you is for you. You know, I remember getting opportunities when I was a kid, and my parents were like, no, we didn't come to this country for her to do this. You know, I got a full scholarship to an invite-only high school, art school. The parents were like, no, we're going to put her something like, but it'll always happen.
Work its way out.
It's always going to happen. So I say this to say that, you know, when I was younger, I couldn't navigate through those waters, right? Those hard words did hurt. They led me to poor decision makings because I didn't love myself. But I've been doing the work with therapy. I've been doing the work with time and accountability. And with that comes growth and healing. And healing to me is never ending. It's not a one-time shop. So I'm just a perfect reminder of what the work is. I was overweight. I'm the healthiest I've ever been.
The best shape of your life.
You know, I had a victim mindset. I'm not there no more. You know, I'm loving that inner child, and I'm healing that inner child, and it's showing. You know, I advocate it's better to be alone than to be with someone that makes you feel alone. I was in a relationship that I literally was doing it all. I was the boyfriend and girlfriend. I was doing it all. And there comes a difference between finding a partner, a companionship, or being, you know, working, you know, labor for free.
Yeah.
You know, it's no longer a partnership when you're doing all the work. That becomes labor, and when it's one-sided. So I'm a living testament of when you do love yourself, it comes out. You have time to put work into yourself, it shows. And, you know, to be fair, we are all human. We're all going through it. I have bad days. I have good days. Today I celebrated a win, you know?
Yeah.
But you'll hear me talk about my L's. You'll never hear me stop talking about my L's.
It's important.
Yeah. We all go through it.
That's 100%. We all do. So yeah, we all go through our L's and our ups and downs. I think that was a great way to encapsulate, you know, just your journey, right? And how you're even handling it.
We could be our own hero
right now. Yep, 100%. And I love that. And when you were talking about X-Men, you know, because for people out there who don't know X-Men, right, it's that the mutants versus the humans, right? And so that whole connection is just so relatable.
Right. When you're being bullied and you feel like an outcast and you don't feel... Listen, I was the only brown girl in a Polish Catholic school.
See, there we go.
You know, I was definitely outcasted. But, you know, if it wasn't for the bullying, if it wasn't for the abuse, if it wasn't... I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
You know, but how can a new person that stumbles upon my page and know those things if I don't share that?
If you don't share it,
you know? And then some people, when they find that out, I don't want your pity.
Right.
I don't want that. I'm not looking for that. Do I want your respect? What we all as human basic we should have? Yes. I should live my life dignified, you know? And that's all it is. That's all it is. It's spread love, spread light, and spread awareness. That's all.
Right. So for your upcoming projects or your current projects, anything you want to put out there right now? Anything you want to plug?
Right now, you know, I shared a little bit about, you know, the movie, the book, what we have going on already available, which is, you know, merchandise and the fitness program. You can find that on my website, iamjessenia.net. Somebody took .com because they were like, this girl's getting hot, so we need that .com. And I'm like, you know what? No.
Now you're talking about that 5-day challenge, right?
Yes. So they can find that there too, just to get a preview. You'll be working out with me. You're gonna see how I get stronger throughout the program with you. Gotcha. So this is ideal for beginners. This is ideal for people that took a long break and want like a workout buddy, someone that's gonna take accountability and be there and be like, all right, look, you could do this.
That's big.
And that's you know, there's always gonna be like a little you can talk to me. There's just a lot of stuff that we can offer with this program, and I'm really, really proud of it because it was a work in progress. It really was, and I was just not trying to put anything out just to put it out.
Beautiful. Any shout outs? Anybody you want to shout out?
I want to shout out God.
Hey, amen, amen.
I want to shout out my mom and my dad who left their country and offered, you know, made my dreams come true. Dreams that I didn't think could happen. And, you know, and everybody that's been supportive, you know, shout out to you for having me on your platform. And, you know, this is just the beginning. I'm just really happy to be back. To put context into that, my abuser deleted my accounts when I had millions and millions of followers.
My gosh.
They wanted, if I can't have you, the world can't have you. But like I said, what's for you is for you. I rebuilt all over again in 2017, starting from zero, and I'm building my way up. And I'm a living testament that, hey, you know, what happens when you fall down? Get yourself right back up.
Amen. On the rise.
On the rise.
Legit.
For real, for real.
100%. Like, for real. All right. So, to my Level Up family, thank you for watching. And to those of you on the podcast, thanks for listening to On the Rise. Let's thank our guest, Miss Jessenia Gallegos, for coming through tonight. Okay. And subscribe, leave us a rating or a review so you don't miss any level ups from the show. We'll see you next time.